Hi, we're Stereo Jane.
And this is for Diandra reviews it all.
Yay! You said it. You said it.
I stuttered a little.
No, but I felt it. I felt like the effort. My first question is, I love the name Stereo Jane, and I kept on thinking, if Stereo Jane was a movie or a comic book, what would be the premise or the origin story for you?
Ooh,
So we're like a badass little girl.
I don't know, because we had a cousin who also used to call us the Super Twins.
Mm,
And I think that's funny, like we could be the Super Twins.
Yeah.
the
like
Super
that.
Twins, like a
Yeah.
Marvel movie, maybe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Love me some
Not like the
Marvel.
creepy twins, but
Not creepy. Cool. Not creepy twins. Super twins. Cool twins.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like Stereo Jane, maybe like she like kicks evil guy's ass and then but before she comes into a room the stereo starts going crazy or something like that. That was my scenario. And now I'm embarrassed for saying it publicly.
No.
What are the growths that you've seen as persons, like within each other, that you recognize in your music? Because you've been doing this for a while. Like, do you see that you're getting wiser as your music gets clearer and your lyrics get lighter?
Definitely. Yeah, over the years we've just been through so many different phases and so many we've been doing it since we were 8 years old. So I mean we've definitely learned a lot, especially over the past couple of years. We're definitely more outgoing when it comes to our music, which is something that I don't think we were a couple years ago. We were definitely more confined into this box where we didn't want to go too crazy. We didn't want to do something too different.
Yeah.
And now we're just super open to doing different things.
and I think we're more vulnerable in our songs.
Yeah,
It really comes out.
Yeah.
Just because I think before it's like we used to be like, well, what's everyone gonna think? Who are you writing for? And at the end of the day, like we're writing for ourselves, and the fact that we get to share that is just amazing.
So, what are the best qualities you appreciate in each other as sisters? Because I'm like sisterly love.
I think that there's really no judgment. Like, I can embarrass myself in front of you, and you're gonna say, "Hey, you look like an idiot," but I love you.
She does get very embarrassed with me sometimes, I will say.
I do, because you love to embarrass me.
She
But
gets super embarrassed super easily, and I kind of love it.
yeah,
No, but I think the fact that we're so different is really the best quality about us, because I feel like it's kind of like yin and yang, and it
but you don't
works
see
really
twins
well.
that work together so well that are so different.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
the way we look, obviously.
So different.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're also very different emotionally, and like just with like everything in our lives is very different, I would say, other than the music. And I think that helps us write good songs. It helps us relate to each other a little bit differently.
Keep us in check.
Yeah, it keeps
Yeah.
us in check.
I could see that, just in terms of balancing each other.
Yeah.
In essence, do you think that because of that sisterly bond, how has that helped you maneuver the industry? Because I could imagine if you've been in this world of art since you were 8, every time you're learning about business, and it's a little bit I'm an artist. Why the business side? Do you feel like your bond protects you?
I think
Yeah.
so.
I think it's there's been so many people coming in and out of our lives over the years, but the two people that have remained the same are us. So
And my next question what do you feel in honor of Holy Hell and Real World? One thing that I notice is that you guys are seeing the difficulties of feeling wide-eyed in a world that can really narrow you down. So I was wondering, what do you feel is the young adult experience today? And do you think that there's something that's each artist is tapping into that's common in that experience?
I think so.
yeah, I think it's. In a world where social media runs people's lives, it's so easy to compare yourself to others, and I think a lot of artists right now are kind of like, hey, stop, it's okay, you can be your own person, you don't have to compare yourself to someone on social media.
But it's also a struggle with a lot of artists in general. They compare themselves to other artists. We were doing it for a while when we were working with the label. There were so many other artists who were signed, and they'd put out a song of the label would put out another artist's song, and then we compare ourselves to that artist. We're like, why aren't they releasing our song? And it was kind of a game that was very vicious, and it was just like this cycle that kept going. And I think once that we left, we started to find ourselves, and we were like, wait, let's do what we want to do, release what we want to release. Don't compare ourselves to other people and what other people are doing. Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to the first question, you just realized you have to be vulnerable in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, it sounds like you, in a very good way, kind of got tired of the comparing.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, eventually I just got to stop.
Mhm.
But is it harder, you bring up social media, and there's kind of like, I feel this necessity in artists today to expose themselves. Is that really hard, not just in music, but using the social media aspect, that balance of when you have to share, when you want to share, when you need to share? Is it scary a little bit? I find it scary.
It's a little bit scary sometimes.
Yeah, I think we're so different in the aspects of like I personally I don't like social media. I don't like using it. It scares me.
Yeah.
But you're more apt to like put yourself out there
Yeah,
and do it.
I'll post anything, and I'll just honestly, I've kind of learned how to use it, and I think the fact that I've gotten so good at using it makes it easier for me than it would for her. But yeah, being vulnerable on social media is so difficult, and it's really good for an artist to do, because it's like that's what other people want to see.
Yeah.
And to be able to relate to you, that's the only thing you can do is just be vulnerable.
So with that notion in mind, and going back to real world, how would you define the real world today? At least, or if you want to narrow it down, the real world for an artist right now.
It's scary, but it's really inspiring, especially right now with artists taking their own leap of faith and doing things independently and kind of, just doing what they want to do, which is something they haven't heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Most artists are kind of put into a box or a lane, and that's the only thing they can do. So it's really, really cool to see artists just stepping outside of the box and coming out with new music, different sounds, and really experimenting.
Yeah, there are a lot of different struggles that artists have today, whether it be social media, whether it be releasing, getting enough views on videos, getting your music heard, trying to get out there, play shows, make money. There's a lot of struggles, and I think that's a big part of the real world, and that's also one of the reasons why we wrote the song. We wrote the song Real World because our car broke down the day before, and we were pissed about it, and so
Yeah, the first line's like broken down on the side of the 405, which is literally where our car broke down.
yeah. So there's a lot of struggles, and when it comes to money, it's like one of those things where your car breaks down, you're like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? But there's also a lot of amazing things about the real world, because it's like you have to overcome things in order to
Be successful.
grow, to be successful and grow.
Yeah. You definitely see like the stronger version of you
Mm-hmm.
if going through the real world and just being artists. So one of my questions was, what was your favorite childhood memory together that involved music? Having done this so long, I always like that question.
I think it'd probably be like we used to warm up for our dad's band in
Yeah.
bars at like 10 years old.
Mm.
They'd like that was when like smoking was still legal inside, so everyone would have to stop smoking, rush the kids in, and then rush them right out after
Yeah.
they're done playing.
There was one time I remember falling asleep on mom's lap, and at one of our dad's shows, and
We just grew up with music just every day, listening to it, going to shows, and one of our first concerts was like Sheryl Crow with our mom, which was just so much fun, because that's like we would only listen to Sheryl Crow driving on road trips. It was like the only song she would play with Sheryl Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I love that. Because my first concert with my mom was Patti LaBelle, and she left me. She like left me in the scene. She's like, I'm gonna dance. I was like, all right, bye. But mom's concerts, they teach us. And my last question is, talking about holy hell and frustrations, how would you define your heaven? Just like plot twist.
Playing shows every night,
Yeah.
going on tour, sleeping on a bus. I don't know why. That's my heaven.
That's your heaven.
Yeah. Millia, not so much. She gets car sick, so I don't know how you're gonna
I
feel
do.
about that.
But is the
We'll
stage
see.
at least your heaven?
Yeah,
Yes.
the stage is my heaven. Being with my family is my heaven.
Yeah.
And my dog.
Well,
And her dog is.
My dog is also my
100% her
heaven.
Oh my God, I love my dog. My dog is like my baby. I'm like embarrassed. Like, this is my child.
No, it's my child.
She's a full-time mom.
I am a full-time mom.
Do you think about the dog as you leave? Like,
I'm thinking of the dog
Right
right
now.
now.
Like before this interview, 2 hours ago.
I think about her constantly.
They
It's-
just warm our hearts. Stop. But you said something interesting, like with the sage being your heaven. Do you feel, I'm always curious, like, is it a transcendent experience for you? Like entering that stage, do you literally become somebody else? Because I know artists that when I ask them that, they talk about like kind of like this blackout in essence, but it's not blacking out. It's just like I was there and then I wasn't. And I was so excited that I can't remember a thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
It's there and then it's over. It's like, it's beautiful and then it's sad because I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy. Like last night we played a show and I felt like it was 2 seconds long.
You're right. It goes by super fast. You don't realize.
It does, but I feel like we become like the better versions of ourselves on stage. I think because I like to say I'm a little bit more reserved and quiet, and then when I get on stage, it's so awesome to just I don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because my friends, my best friends, they always say they're like every time we watch you on stage, it's weird because we forget that you sing and that you perform. They're like we forget what you do, like what your life is. It's like, yeah, I guess I kind of become a different. I put on a persona on stage, definitely, but at the same time, it's still me because I'm just like, wait, really? You think that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the most heightened version of you, like just the happy, talented version. Also, get rid of your friends. How could they forget that this is what you do? All right, well, that was it. That was perfect.